Chapter 1: Robert's Upset Stomach. The morning dawned with a soft glow filtering through Robert's curtains, yet despite the gentle light, he found himself waking with a sense of unease. The usually pleasant sensation of stretching and welcoming the day was replaced by a dull ache in his stomach, an unwelcome visitor that had decided to make itself known overnight. Rubbing his eyes, Robert tried to shake off the discomfort, hoping it was just a passing inconvenience. However, as he sat up in bed, the uneasy sensation persisted, gnawing at him like a persistent itch. "I must have eaten something funny last night," Robert muttered to himself, trying to pinpoint the cause of his discomfort. Yet, no matter how hard he tried to recall his dinner, nothing stood out as particularly suspect. Reluctantly, Robert swung his legs out of bed and made his way downstairs, the ache in his stomach growing more pronounced with each step. The aroma of breakfast usually greeted him as he descended the stairs, but today, it was replaced by the heavy silence of an empty kitchen. "Good morning, Grandma," Robert called out, his voice tinged with a hint of uncertainty. His grandmother's reply was immediate, her voice filled with warmth and concern as she emerged from the depths of the kitchen. "Good morning, my dear. Are you feeling all right?" Robert mustered a weak smile, attempting to brush off his discomfort. "I'm just feeling a little off today. I think I've got a bit of a stomach ache." Grandma's brow furrowed with worry as she approached Robert, a hand resting gently on his forehead. "You do feel a bit warm. Let's see if we can't help you feel better, shall we?" Robert nodded gratefully, feeling a sense of relief wash over him at his grandmother's comforting presence. Despite the ache in his stomach, he couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope that her magical touch in the kitchen would soon set things right. "Come, sit down at the table," Grandma said, guiding Robert to a chair with a gentle hand. "I'll whip up something that'll have you feeling better in no time." As Robert settled into his seat, he couldn't shake the feeling of gratitude for his grandmother's unwavering care and concern. Though his stomach still churned uncomfortably, the thought of her homemade remedies filled him with a sense of reassurance that everything would soon be all right. Little did he know, the journey to healing would begin with a humble bowl of soup, crafted with love and care in his grandmother's kitchen. Chapter 2: Grandma's Kitchen Magic. As Robert settled into his seat at the kitchen table, his grandmother wasted no time in springing into action. With the grace and skill of a seasoned chef, she moved about the kitchen with purpose, her hands deftly navigating the array of pots, pans, and utensils that lined the countertops. The first order of business was gathering the ingredients for her special soup. With a keen eye and sure hand, Grandma plucked fresh vegetables from the garden outside, selecting only the finest specimens to grace her culinary masterpiece. Carrots, celery, and onions formed the backbone of the dish, their vibrant colors hinting at the nourishing goodness they would soon impart. Back in the kitchen, Grandma set to work, her knife slicing through the vegetables with practiced precision. Each chop was deliberate, each movement purposeful, as she transformed the raw ingredients into a symphony of flavors and textures. Yet, it was not just the vegetables that would lend their magic to the soup. Grandma reached for a jar of fragrant spices, selecting just the right combination to infuse the broth with warmth and depth. A pinch of ginger added a subtle kick, while a dash of turmeric lent its golden hue and healing properties to the mix. With the vegetables chopped and the spices measured, Grandma turned her attention to the stove, where a pot of water bubbled merrily over the flames. Into the pot went the vegetables, their colors melding together in a vibrant medley as they began to soften and release their essence into the broth. But Grandma's culinary prowess didn't stop there. No, she knew that the key to a truly exceptional soup lay in the details. With a flourish, she added a handful of pearl barley to the pot, its tiny grain swelling with the promise of hearty nourishment. As the soup simmered away on the stove, Grandma's kitchen filled with the rich aroma of vegetables and spices, mingling together in a tantalizing dance of flavors. It was a scent that spoke of warmth and comfort, of home and hearth, and Robert couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation building within him as he watched his grandmother work her magic. With each passing minute, the soup grew richer and more flavorful, its healing properties intensifying with every stir of the spoon. Grandma knew that patience was key when it came to crafting the perfect soup, and she was willing to wait as long as it took to ensure that her creation was nothing short of perfection. And so, as the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the kitchen floor, Grandma's soup bubbled away on the stove, its magic working its way into every spoonful. Little did Robert know, but with each sip of that humble broth, he would be taking a journey not just to healing, but to a place of warmth and comfort that only a grandmother's love and kitchen magic could provide. Chapter 3: The Healing Brew. As the soup simmered on the stove, filling the kitchen with its tantalizing aroma, Grandma's attention turned to the finer details of her culinary creation. She knew that the key to a truly exceptional soup lay not just in the ingredients, but in the careful balance of flavors and the infusion of healing properties that would soothe Robert's troubled stomach. With a practiced hand, Grandma reached for a selection of fresh herbs, plucking them from the small garden she kept on her windowsill. Basil, parsley, and thyme, their leaves verdant and fragrant, would lend their aromatic essence to the soup, elevating it from a simple broth to a nourishing elixir of health and well-being. As she added the herbs to the pot, Grandma explained to Robert the importance of each one, their unique properties and benefits for the body and mind. Basil, with its sweet and slightly peppery flavor, was said to aid digestion and calm the nerves. Parsley, with its vibrant green leaves and fresh, clean taste, was known for its detoxifying properties and ability to soothe an upset stomach. And thyme, with its earthy aroma and subtle hints of citrus, was said to have antimicrobial properties that could help fight off infections and boost the immune system. But Grandma's culinary expertise didn't stop there. She knew that a good soup needed more than just herbs to reach its full potential. With a twinkle in her eye, she reached for a small vial of honey, its golden hue glinting in the soft light of the kitchen. Just a touch of sweetness, Grandma explained as she drizzled a small amount of honey into the pot. It'll help balance out the flavors and add a bit of soothing comfort to the soup. Robert watched with fascination as his grandmother worked her magic, each ingredient added with care and consideration, each step executed with precision and skill. It was clear to him that this was no ordinary soup, this was a potion, a healing brew crafted with love and expertise to banish his discomfort and restore him to health. As the soup continued to simmer, its flavors melding together in a harmonious symphony of taste and aroma, Grandma turned her attention to the final touches. A squeeze of lemon juice for brightness, a sprinkle of salt and pepper for seasoning, and a final stir to ensure that every ingredient was perfectly blended and balanced. And then, with a flourish, Grandma ladled the soup into a bowl, its steam rising in a fragrant cloud that enveloped the kitchen in warmth and comfort. She placed the bowl in front of Robert, a smile of satisfaction gracing her lips as she watched him take his first sip. "Go on, dear," Grandma encouraged. "Try it. I think you'll find it's just what you need to chase away that stomachache of yours." And so, with a sense of anticipation tingling in his belly, Robert took a spoonful of the soup and brought it to his lips. The warmth of the broth spread through him like a comforting embrace, its flavors dancing on his tongue in a symphony of taste and texture. "It's perfect, Grandma," Robert exclaimed, his voice filled with gratitude and wonder. "Thank you." But Grandma simply smiled and patted his hand, her eyes twinkling with pride. For she knew that the true magic of her soup lay not just in its taste, but in the love and care that went into its making. And as Robert savored each spoonful, feeling his discomfort melt away with every sip, he knew that he was experiencing something truly special, a healing brew crafted with love, and served with a side of Grandma's kitchen magic. Chapter 4: A Taste of Comfort. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the kitchen floor, Grandma's soup had reached its peak of perfection. The aroma wafting from the pot was nothing short of intoxicating, filling the air with a symphony of flavors that promised warmth and comfort with every spoonful. With a practiced hand, Grandma ladled the steaming broth into a bowl, the rich colors and enticing fragrance beckoning to Robert from where he sat at the kitchen table. His stomach, still tender from the ache that had plagued him all day, grumbled in anticipation, eager to be soothed by the nourishing elixir his grandmother had prepared. "Here you go, dear," Grandma said, placing the bowl in front of Robert with a gentle smile. "I hope this helps you feel better." Robert nodded gratefully, his mouth watering at the sight of the piping hot soup before him. Taking the spoon in hand, he dipped it into the bowl, the liquid parting to reveal a treasure trove of vegetables and grains nestled within. With a cautious sip, Robert tasted the broth, his taste buds coming alive with the vibrant flavors that danced across his tongue. The warmth of the spices, the earthiness of the vegetables, and the comforting embrace of the broth combined to create a sensation of pure bliss, washing away the discomfort that had plagued him all day. "It's delicious, Grandma," Robert exclaimed, his voice filled with genuine delight. "I've never tasted anything like it." Grandma beamed with pride at his words, her eyes twinkling with joy at seeing her grandson find solace in her cooking. "I'm glad you like it, dear," she said, her voice soft with affection. There's nothing quite like a bowl of homemade soup to lift the spirits and soothe the soul. As Robert savored each spoonful of soup, he felt a sense of warmth and contentment wash over him, the troubles of the day fading into the background as he immersed himself in the simple pleasure of good food and loving company. It was a moment he would cherish for years to come, a memory of comfort and connection that would stay with him long after the last spoonful had been savored. And so, as the night stretched on and the stars twinkled overhead, Robert and his grandmother sat together in the cozy warmth of the kitchen, sharing stories and laughter over bowls of steaming soup. In that moment, surrounded by love and nourishment, Robert knew that everything would be all right, for he had found comfort in the most unexpected of places, a simple bowl of soup, crafted with care and infused with the magic of his grandmother's love. Chapter 5: On the Mend. With each spoonful of soup that Robert consumed, he could feel the healing powers of his grandmother's concoction working their magic. The discomfort that had plagued him since morning began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of warmth and well-being that spread through his body like a comforting embrace. As he sat at the kitchen table, savoring the last remnants of the nourishing broth, Robert couldn't help but reflect on the journey he had taken over the course of the day. From the initial pang of discomfort that had greeted him upon waking to the comforting aroma of his grandmother's soup simmering on the stove, it had been a day filled with ups and downs, twists and turns. Yet, through it all, one thing remained constant: his grandmother's unwavering love and care. From the moment she had sensed his distress, she had sprung into action, channeling all of her culinary prowess and maternal instincts into crafting a soup that was not just nourishing for the body, but soothing for the soul. And now, as Robert sat in the glow of the kitchen lamp, his belly full and his spirits lifted, he couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude towards the woman who had always been there for him, ready to lend a helping hand or a listening ear whenever he needed it most. "Thank you, Grandma," Robert said, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled over the kitchen. "For everything." Grandma smiled warmly at him, her eyes shining with pride and affection. "You're welcome, dear," she replied, her voice soft with emotion. "I'm just glad I could help you feel better." And with those simple words, Robert knew that he was truly blessed to have such a loving and caring grandmother in his life. No matter what challenges lay ahead, he knew that as long as he had her by his side, he would always have a source of comfort and strength to see him through. As the night wore on and the kitchen grew quiet, Robert felt a sense of peace settle over him, the last remnants of his stomachache fading into the background as he drifted off to sleep. Tomorrow was a new day, filled with endless possibilities and opportunities, and armed with the love and support of his grandmother, Robert knew that he could face whatever came his way with courage and resilience.